Hello, good afternoon, everyone. We should wait one more minute so that everyone. Okay, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the presentation for the ISTF 2020 Innovation Prize. So this year, ISTF conference is to address the urgent need to restore tropical ecosystem and create a more just society. Shifting the paradigm around restoration requires creative thinking and listening to voices on the ground to identify approaches that are equitable and effective.
So in line with this theme, the Innovation Prize recognizes examples of restoration of tropical landscapes and the people that rely on them. This year, we received submissions from each tropical continent, totaling 35 projects exemplifying advances in restoration practices. From these submissions, we, the ISTF Planning Committee, evaluated the first round and selected 5 to advance to our committee of faculty with expertise in tropical landscapes to choose our 2 semifinalists who are here with us today. Both students and faculty and the faculty committee evaluated submissions based on 4 key metrics: innovation, inclusivity, demonstrated leadership, and contribution to meaningful lessons for further understanding restoration.
So with your help today, we will be able to award our 6th Annual Innovation Prize to one of our top 2 semi-finalists here today. So remember, after 2 presentations, each of us will vote to select this year's recipient with a paper that you receive upon entering the auditorium. So before we start the presentation, let us introduce our finalists. So first, we will welcome Sergeant Bright and Mabu from Current Environment and Social Action Network. Sergeant Bright is a Water Governance Program Coordinator at Current Environmental and Social Action Network, Kisan from Karen State in Myanmar, which is formerly known as Burma. His work mainly focused on research and policy advocacy towards inclusive, informed, and accountable resource governance. He is currently pursuing his MA in Sustainable International Development at the Heller School of Social Policy and Management at Brandeis University. Then we also have one presenter from Kisan, Mabu. Mabu is an indigenous Karen from Myanmar. He co-founded the Current Environmental and Social Action Network in 2001 and is currently working as a land and forest governance coordinator. Mabu provides technical assistance to local communities for land mapping and data management to strengthen indigenous community protection for the sustainability of their land and forests.
Our second presenter is Beverly Mugure Gichiri, who is the founder of Mugure Agriventures Limited in Kajiado County, Kenya. She is a passionate farmer practicing permaculture and inspiring Maasai youth and women through agricultural activities. Mugure Agriventures aims to eradicate poverty among Kenyan citizens by nurturing young innovators through mentorship, training, and creating a sustainable community. Beverly was awarded the Youth Champion in Agribusiness in 2018 under the FAO EAC Partnership and the Young Fellow Award in 2019 by the U.S. State Department and Michigan State University. Before we welcome our first presenter, just a quick introduction of ourselves. My name is MK Speth.
And my name is Kinteta, and we both are second-year students at FES, as well as coordinator for this year's ISTF Innovation Prize.
So with that, please join me in welcoming our first presenter, Sergeant Bright and Mabu.
Hello everyone, can you hear me? Thank you, just testing. Okay, so this is me. Oh dear. Sorry, technical. So our presentation title is Saluin Peace Park and Livelihood Restoration in Karen State, Kotule in Burma. The name Kotule is Karen name. To explain a little bit about that is when we say Karen State in Myanmar, It's in government territory. It's in some area. But the name Gotule is in Karen, but Gotule cover many different areas where Karen people live. So this is the map that the area that we'll be talking about. It is Salun River Basin. And the case study that we are talking about right now will be the very downstream. So before I go to the topic, I would like to introduce a little bit about our organization. Our organization is called Karen Environmental and Social Action Network. We are an ethnic community-based organization working on indigenous area, livelihood activity projects, forest, land, and also development issues. So today, in this presentation, I want to just address 3 questions. The first question is the challenges of tropical forest loss in this area. So to give a bit of the background, we have displacement and conflict issue in this area. Our country has been suffering for more than 70 years of political conflict, armed conflict, human rights violations, especially in indigenous area. So we have a lot of conflict happening around the issue of logging and hydropower projects and minings, and these things are still happening at the moment in different scale, in local and in a very massive scale as well. So mega projects like hydropower dams, roads, monoculture plantations, etc. And also land grabbing issue is another things that we need to really think about in this case, because the land policy in Myanmar is very controversial right now. The policy favor more in business rather than the people. So land grabbings are happening in the whole country, and especially in the indigenous area here. And the continued militarization, even we have a peace process which it's very controversial right now. So the peace process is like on and off, and it doesn't really happening in the right way for the people. So these are the pictures that we took on the ground. You see the mining happening in the local area, very destructive, and the logging as well, very massive, mono plantation, and the road projects as well. So this is the map of Salun Basin. You can see these are the hydropower projects that is planned by Chinese, Thailand, and Burmese government, Myanmar government. So starting from China, you have a lot of hydropower dams here, and also here this is crossing Thailand and Burma. So this area, it's also we call it. We have a lot of trans boundaries issues. So our project is in the very downstream where you have a green like a box. So I want to talk about how our approach is leading to restoration and conservation. So our project is called Salun Peace Park. The project is to foster peace, cooperation between local authorities and local people, and cultural resilience, sustainable management, resource management, biodiversity, and livelihood. And this is also a bottom-up approach and people-centered approach. So it is all about sustainable development from local to national scale. So the objective is, as I mentioned, 3 key points. One is peace and self-determination for the local people. And the second one will be environment and biodiversity protection. And the third one is culture, culture heritage and also cultural practices, especially for the plantations and how people manage resources on the ground. So these are the photos that we have. So you can see wild animals and a lot of very rare species in that area. So we've been working on research with local communities to get these kind of images. So this is the map of Salween Peace Park. We can talk about in detail, but for now I've just run through. And so Mabu is very expert in mapping on the ground with GPS and all these community mapping. So here this map is saying that the area we have traditional community land management. It is called resource management system. So we're trying to map out all these practices and governance system and put it on the map so that we have a clear kind of ideas of what is happening in that area. And we have community forests there, wildlife sanctuaries, reserve forests, and this area is under the administration of Karen National Union. The Karen National Union is the ethnic organization, ethnic, political, and armed organization calling for democracy and federal against the government, because we still have armed conflict and we still have the military taking control over the politics. And this is the illustration that explains how our core system works, the core governance system. So the core governance system, we work in a local community. So traditionally, they have their own, system that is sustainably managed. The system, so called, is both a physical space as well as social system, integrating indigenous ecological knowledge, wildlife conservation, forest and management, water management, and rotational agriculture, and also conflict resolution mechanism on the ground, which is very important. This is the governance structure of the whole Salween Peace Park, how we are going to manage the Salween Peace Park together with local authority, the KNU authority. So we have local representative, which is the green color. The green color here, local representative. This is the NGO and CSO, and this is the Karen National Union, the local authority, working together in this governance structure. So you have customary kind of system, and then KNU policy and laws that foster these things, and then we have a charter of the Salween Peace Park. So this is some picture of our Salween Peace Park launch in the local community, some of our awareness program in the forest. Our research also include young women and local populations. So the research is it's led by the local community as well. So this is what makes our approach unique, innovative, and inclusive. So the first one is that the relationship between community and nature is the first priority that should be cooperating in this Salween Peace Park initiative. The second one is to function this local indigenous knowledge into with a strong institution on the ground. And the third one is to make sure that these institutions work well and make decisions from bottom to up in an inclusive way. The next one, please. So these are the livelihood activities. You can see the farming and canal project, and also fish ponds. So we also have herbal medicine forest, community forest, and customary lands together in these livelihood projects, working together in, and also communal land area as well. We have challenges in doing this. climate change is the big one. So, and also bigger development project as mentioned, and displacement and conflict, because peace process is still not in the right channel yet. And here we also support livelihood in the Saluang Peace Park. When we talk about activities, we have rice bank networks, we have irrigation, canal restoration and expansions, and fish conservation zone, as you have seen, and agroforestry, and TFP, non-timber forest product, and then organic gardens, upland farmers with indigenous seed sharing, and buffalo raising as well, of course. Here, our key takeaway is that collective control is the key things when we do this project, and also self-strengthening in this sense. We have our own food, grow our own food, and then strengthen our local institutions. And indigenous Karen people are very key actor in this conservation and governance structures. These are some photos that we take on the ground, some drone shots. So I want to show you some video clips about the brief kind of things that it explain. You can find this on YouTube as well. And I was just talking very brief. So if you want to know more about all these projects and more detail, we have some publication back there. You can have some handouts. These all for free. So let's go to the Peace Park. So thank you, and we invite you all. Welcome to the Saluin Peace Park. If you have time, you can visit us sometime. So for more information, you can connect us to from our Facebook or email. Thank you.
Thank you again, Fri Jan and Mabu. That was an amazing presentation. We have a few minutes for questions, maybe one or two, if anyone has any questions. Perfect.
So this debate, this was an idea for converting the traditional territories of the Karen people to a peace park.
Yes.
That is the root idea here.
The idea.
And how long have you been planning this then?
We've been working since
2011.
2011.
Wow. Thank you.
I think we have one more question back here.
Hi, thank you. I look at the organization you have over there, like who will be taking part of the decision making, and I don't see, or at least maybe I missed it, I haven't seen anyone from the federal state or from Myanmar government. I was wondering, are they involved in it, or at least, do they accepted it?
From the government, they didn't invite us, but we believe that this our community. We have to start it first and recognize ourselves. After the other people know about us, maybe later on they will.
So the idea is self-resilient because when you look at the history, the government and all the governance system, it's a military, and then still, even we have new government in place, democracy, but we still have a lot of issues, land, natural resources, and all these things. So from that policy, government policy perspective, I mean, it's all like challenges. So we want to start. That's why our approach is innovative, and it's not a new one, but in this context, it looks like new. But indigenous, our community, we've been doing this long time ago. So this is like self-sufficient, self-governing, self-determinations. Thank you.
So I would like to add a little bit more, now in Myanmar, many people know about they started to discuss the peace process, but for the Saluin Peace Park will be a kind of, we really need a peace, a real peace, not like a artificial peace, a real peace in the Saluin Peace Park.
Thank you.
Please join me in thanking again Fri Jan and Mabu. Thanks, guys. That's great. Thank you. Oops. Okay, next we have up Beverly Mugu Gichiri from Kenya. We're going to play this as she walks up.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Beverly Mugure. I am from Kenya. I am from a county in south of Nairobi, 80 kilometers, called Kajiado County. we border Tanzania. So my project, I am the founder of Mugure Agriventures. I am a passionate farmer, and my main focus is on passion, people, and purpose, focus on community sustainability and empowerment, poverty eradication, gender equality, environment conservation, and food security. So perhaps maybe you might be asking yourself where my passion to start farming came from. And can you hear me? Okay. So maybe you might be wondering where my passion came from to start farming. And I am born in the Maasai community, and my community is one of the community that we've lost so many people because of hunger. We've lost so many women and young kids because of malnutrition, even though my community makes a lot of money for the government in terms of tourism. And so I decided to stop my work. I used to be a waitress, and I decided to go back home and see how I'm going to help, especially the women in my community. So I started an agri-venture company because I didn't want to do something charity. I really wanted to train them to be able to be sustainable and to be able to earn a living from what they are doing. So I went and asked the elder people in my community, because you cannot buy land in the Maasai community. You can only use community land. So the elders gave me 18 acres of land, and as you can see here, this is where the lady you see there is the first lady we started with. She's called Grace, and those are her kids. And these are the women I work with. Just behind me, we are doing tomatoes. Now, in my farm, what we do, I decided to start teaching the women to start growing trees, because I noticed that they walk 10 kilometers to go and fetch water. But when I asked them, why do you think you're going so far to fetch water? They don't have answers, not because they do not want to make an improvement, it's because they don't have an education and they don't understand how they're struggling because of climate change, or just maybe we are just not growing trees and you're not living well. So what I've done, this is our farm. We started growing bananas for them, so that, because bananas are fruits, so that it is very easy for them to start growing bananas than showing them bigger trees, because they will not understand. So it was very easy for me to tell them we start growing bananas, and we started growing a tree called Moringa in Africa. It is a tree, it is a shrub. It's more of a shrub, but it is used by the Maasai community. They drink it as a herb, and we also feed it to the chicken, and it has more vitamins for the kids. So this was a very good idea to start growing trees here and integrating with beans. If you look at it, we have some beans here. And another thing, so the things that I'm trying to do, we are conducting a research on termites. The reason why we are doing that is because the Maasai community are cattle raiders, and they are responsible for climate change. Even though they keep cattle, most of the cattle die because we don't have grass. So I thought, how could we be able to save the land that we have, is maybe to start adapting entomophagy, to start training them maybe to start eating insects, because we don't have so much water. At least in Kajiado, sometimes we can have only 500 millimeters of rainfall. So I thought, because we have a lot of termites in the land, let us do a research. And this research I did with the women, and these are the termites we were able to see. So currently we are designing a sound trap in Netherlands, where we can be able to attract more termites, and we use them for chicken feeds, and also to add them as nutrition for porridge. But how maybe perhaps you're asking, how is the termites going to help us in climate change? And one of the things is that we are going to save a lot of land if we don't keep cattle, and being able to eat termites because they take a very small space. Another thing, insects take very little water. So it is not going to be a problem for the community to adjust. Right now they're trying to adjust, but it's very difficult. But I believe that one day at a time they're going to be able to eat termites. Now, when I want to talk about biodiversification in our farm. We are also keeping, as much as we are growing the trees, we have chicken, we have cows, just trying to make sure that we have everything. We have Mercy, that's our tortoise, and we have the bees. So we are also training the women and making sure that we're not just growing crops, but we're also allowing other species to grow in our 18 acres, so that the women can also learn about growing bees. They can do poultry and things like this. Maybe they never saw it. Maybe it was there, but nobody really cared to know. Many women did not know this is a tortoise. So it is a progress, and it's working for us. Climate change. I want to talk about, my project is talking about how the Kajiado County has been affected by climate change. 3 years ago, we lost one of the ladies who went to give birth, and she died because of hunger. And now what I'm trying to address in this project is to sit with the community and the elders and really see how we can be able to make sure that Kajiado County is food security, but also ensuring that these people, we are not just growing trees. We want them to be accountable, and we want them to be able to protect what they are growing. So one of the things that we normally talk about is, I talk to them about the way the trees assist in carbon, the trees consume the carbon and they give us oxygen, and so that they can be able to understand why are we growing the trees and why they need to protect them. We just don't want them to grow the trees and abandon them. We want to make sure that they're growing a banana tree and a moringa and a cypress tree, and they're going to be able to water it and make sure that it's growing. When I talk about my organization, it's also focused on food security and community sustainability. The reason why this project has been able to be successful is because we are not just doing it for business, we are involving the whole community. We are growing strawberries, we are growing tomatoes, and just ensuring that the area has food security, everybody has enough to eat. And as we do that, my organization is a place where there's a lot of information that comes in that even the government cannot access. We are able to know how many children are not going to school in Kajiado County. We are able to know how many girls are at risk of FGM and early marriage. So for me, this project of mine is not just about growing food, it's also about bringing the community together and being able to understand the challenges that the women are going through and how they can be able to talk about these things. Approach to restoration and conservation. So we are saving land by growing insects, using less water, and protect wildlife species in our farm. We are also doing a mentoring program especially for the women, and we are launching a program called the Agro Boy Child, because one of the things that we've realized is that if we empower the women, we cannot be able to forget the men. Otherwise, there's going to be a conflict of interest in the community. So we are going to do a 100 by 100 campaign for all the Maasai men to help their women to grow at least 100 trees, and we are launching it in August. Another thing that we are doing is empowering women, youth and children through sustainable agricultural activity. I have a program for the kids when they come from school. In the Maasai community, the girls are the ones who go to fetch water. So we are trying to change that and make sure that the girls collect the plastics and bring to our farm, and we encourage the boys to assist the girls not to fetch water. This barrier is because of the cultural barrier, and it's very hard to make this kind of decision, but as we move forward, the community is adjusting to it. Innovation and project uniqueness. The research on insect farming is unheard of, especially among pastoral community, because we are obsessed with cattle and they cannot be able to eat anything else. But we have seen a lot of changes. We are doing also edible crickets, and you're doing soldier ants, and they're starting to understand that if they don't take care of the environment, even their cattle are going to die. So maybe we have to adapt to something else so that we can be able to save land. We are also practicing permaculture as the highest form of agriculture, where we integrate crops and we are growing trees, and we are also doing aquaponics so that we can save land. And we also use manure to grow proteins. We also do maggot production, and the women are the ones who do it so that we can try to reduce the carbon emission with the manure. So I've trained them on how to be able to put the manure in one place, and we grow maggots for the chicken. Lastly, my project is focused on environment, food, and society. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Beverly. We have a moment for a few questions. We have one back there.
So my thought is that you generate some amount of income.
Yes.
So how do you distribute that?
Yeah, so what we do, we grow wild vegetables, and we have allocated a group of 10 women. We work with 50 women. And what we do a rotation. We have a market in Kajiado town, a place called Kitengela, and that is our biggest market. So we take the vegetables to the market and we source them for schools and university. We have an account, we have an accountant, and the women work on a daily basis. We count, they're paid monthly. Yeah, nobody is working for free. Every woman who comes to work is under a payroll. Yeah.
So the Maasai culture is known worldwide as being a very distinctive culture, and you're introducing something that is change to that culture. And that's one of the really beautiful things about the project. Can you share just a little story of something, maybe just to give us an idea of how that culture change is being borne out, like with these boys that are joining the water gathering or other instances?
Yeah. Yes, so being also a Maasai girl, I want first to say the first time I think I greeted my father is when maybe I was 18, because the reason why I played that clip, if anybody was keen, is to see that the women were not looking at the men when they were dancing. They are not allowed to do things together, and so I think that is the disconnect in the community, and that's why the Maasai people are really struggling. And so the way we do it, it's like we don't talk about it, like we don't give people, like a woman, just a role like that. We do it in shifts. For example, we have a lunchtime kitchen where we cook for the women, and what I have done, I have put a rotational shift. So if James is the head of the catering today, tomorrow Deborah or Grace will be. So that way they cannot be able to sense and feel like the woman is coming on top of them, but they can be able to sense a spirit of teamwork. And I think I have seen a great improvement working like that than just putting the women in the front line. Though I think the future is to be able to give these women these opportunities to lead this group, because one thing that we have seen, it is the women who are really responsible for so many things in the community. So we have to do it slowly until they can be able to adjust. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for that. My question is, Maasai area is known for tourism, and like you mentioned. So I was wondering if you're taking advantage of that opportunity to be able to contribute to your project, and how that shift is sort of perceived at the local level.
Okay. So the other things that we are still working on is to have a pilot project in our community, where we also want to be bringing people to see our work, where my farm is, and also to make sure that the county government is involved so that they can be able to assist us to take data most of the time because of health issues in the Maasai community, the issues of FGM, early marriages, and education. And so far we have found at least partners from Netherlands, and they bring people to see our work, and that has really helped us because they've donated us with tanks, and they've really helped us even with seedlings for strawberries. And like the research we are doing for the insect, it is sponsored from the Wageningen University from Netherlands. And this is what our future is, to be able to make it like an agro-tourism where everybody can be able to come and learn about this, so that we can be able to reach out to other communities who cannot come specifically to my farm, and they can be able to do those kind of projects in their own way. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. I appreciate the work which you're doing.
Thank you.
And I also appreciate that you're introducing changes into the society. You're doing a lot to empower women. And I heard you mention that you'll also be looking towards empowering the boy child.
Yeah.
I just want to say that yes, it is indeed very key to empower the boy child or the men when you're introducing this change, because they need to be equipped to handle the empowered women.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's true. They need to be equipped to handle the empowered women. Otherwise, you have a situation of chaos. Okay, when change is introduced, you don't wait for the change to change you. Try to change, change along with the change. Otherwise, you'll break. So, what I just want to ask is, how or which approach will you be using to to empower the boy child? Thank you.
Yeah, so this is one thing that I will say the truth, I've been really struggling, especially with the elder men in the community. But one thing that we have decided is we have to involve the men in this project. Otherwise, if we don't involve them, they will be depending on the women 100%, and it is normal in the Maasai community. Even if you come to my place, you will see many guys seated under the tree, and it's the women who are working. So what I've decided, that the Agro Boy Child campaign, is to make sure that even these men are part of this project so that they can be able to work with their wives and they can be able to work with their sisters and be able to make sure that nobody is left in the society, because if we just concentrate on the women and we leave the men out, as she has said, then there's going to be a lot of conflict, because the same women we're empowering, in future they will want to have maybe husbands, and it will be very hard for them. It will be a disconnect in the community. So that's how we are going to do it, is to involve the men in the project. Though we still have men in the project, like we have people who dig for us, who do the poles, who do the fences, we have them. But the biggest project is for these women, because it is the women who go far to look for water. It is the women who brings food. It is the women who do everything in the Maasai community. So the boy child is not forgotten. Yeah.
Great. Thank you, Beverly. Please join me in thanking both Beverly, John, and Mabu again.
Thank you.
Great job.
Thank you.
Thank you again for our presenters. Now we have heard 2 outstanding projects from different tropic and continents. And now it's time for us to vote for this year's Innovation Award recipient. So MK, how do we vote?
So as each of you know, you received a small little piece of paper on your way in. And this is going to, raise your hand for anyone who has not received a piece of paper. And we have a few ISTF committee members who can pass things out. For those of you with pieces of paper, what you're going to do is you're going to circle the individual that you would like to win the innovation prize. On your way out, we'll have 2 committee members by the door with a bucket, and you'll just drop your vote in there. And then this evening, we will be counting the votes and announcing the winner tomorrow. But both of our incredible semifinalists will both be receiving a cash prize at the end of the conference. So again, please join me in thanking so much both John, Mabu, and Beverly for coming and telling us about their wonderful work.
Thank you, everyone.